TYT Sports Big Panel here. Jason, Francis, Christian, and Ben. Conspiracy theories have been fueled by the internet. It's given an outlet to people to express some of those theories, many of them having to do with public policy, politics. Sports has been no exception. And there are some good ones in sports. We've all picked our favorite conspiracy theory. There's a good Reddit about sports conspiracy theories that we sort of stole this idea from. Jay, you want to start?
I will. The frozen envelope, Patrick Ewing, 1985 draft lottery. Now, although this is a conspiracy theory, I'm a huge fan of this conspiracy theory because I hope even if it was or it wasn't, it worked out okay for the Knicks. Granted, since 1985, we still have not won a championship.
I was going to say, yeah.
We've won, I believe, one playoff series since 2000. And regardless of this, the whole aspect of this conspiracy theory was that David Stern rigged the draft lottery with the frozen envelope. So the Knicks, the biggest market, or one of the three biggest markets between the Knicks, Celtics, and Lakers, that the Knicks would get the number 1 overall pick out of Georgetown, Patrick Ewing, and rejuvenate, obviously, the NBA.
And it did. It rejuvenated the NBA in New York.
It
did help. It did more than help. It made the Knicks relevant again from a period of irrelevance, and the theory being that the NBA, couldn't tolerate an insignificant team in New York, although they're tolerating
We're tolerating it now.
We're tolerating it right now.
Considering, even if we rig the draft lottery this year, it doesn't really help us because I think Phil Jackson's trading our pick.
Right, and the problem with
and you
stuff
still
like
have
this.
Carmelo.
So what happened with what happened with the envelope? I don't even remember. I remember
it wouldn't open.
Right.
So they're kind of like pretending that it opens, so he pulls it out, and it's like, oh, the New York Knicks get the first pick.
Right. So I mean, it would mean that the two teams that had a better shot at that, or that finished, I guess the lottery was even that year. I believe so. By the way, so the Knicks had the third worst record in the league. Only the Warriors and the Pacers had lousier records that year, 22-60. The Knicks were 24-58. Like, I mean, they almost deserved the number 1 pick. It's not like they took a team, that didn't make the playoffs, say that year, like the Hawks that won 34 games and put them in. So I don't know. It doesn't look. Sometimes one of the teams has got to win it. But why can't it be the Knicks?
But Ben Mankiewicz, where does the Hawks land on your relevant, irrelevant NBA teams list?
They're still irrelevant.
There we go.
They're still irrelevant.
There we go.
One nice year does not make the Hawks relevant. So that's a good one. No evidence at all, and it would have required complicity of the 9 other teams in the lottery. By the way, there were only 7 teams in the lottery that year. The NBA only had 23 teams. 16 made the playoffs. Hawks, Knicks, Pacers, Sonics, Clippers, Kings, Warriors. So they had a 14% chance of winning.
Right.
And also, what about those other years when they didn't win the lottery? Or when the team that, sometimes the team that the league wants to win the lottery is going to win the lottery.
I'm not sure. We could talk about the World Cup. I think 2002, the possible conspiracy theory with South Korea maybe getting it in the referee's ear, but that's not a big enough one for me. There wasn't enough evidence, I don't think. I don't think there was any evidence, but 2018, 2022 selections is just so iffy because, of course, Sepp Blatter is in the heart of it when you go to places like Russia and Qatar, primarily Qatar, because they think that they're chasing oil money. Because Brazil, there was the red flags there because of the low oil income, Russia as well, but Qatar, major oil income area, they're blowing through the roof in terms of the amount of oil that they produce. And this is why Sepp Blatter came out and said that he was choosing it because they want to go to new lands. And that's ridiculous argument when you go to a place that now you have to consider moving the World Cup to winter in order to accommodate the disastrous heat temperature and the fact that everyone just doesn't want to play there. So it's undoubtedly a conspiracy theory, but it's undoubtedly right because Sepp Blatter's right in the middle of it. He chases money, he lobbies. He treats it like a political engagement. He lobbies at these discussions when you're not supposed to do that in terms of FIFA. So for me, it's a clear conspiracy theory, but I would love if someone else looked into it more and had the 2022
people are looking at FIFA is so wildly corrupt.
Yeah.
It's not hard to believe at all that they're just bought off each time.
Of course.
So, I don't even know if that's quite a conspiracy or a criminal conspiracy. But anyway, all right, that's a good one. I like it because it's a future conspiracy.
All right, the one that I read about, I had no idea about this, that this was a conspiracy theory, but in 1984, the baseball strike, there's a theory going around, I guess, the baseball strike, that the strike happened because they wanted to prevent an all-Canadian World Series. And I'd never heard of that. Obviously, I knew about the strike, but I read that and I was like, that's...
Because they'd rather not have a World Series.
Yeah, they'd rather not than have 2 Canadian teams be in the World Series.
It's the biggest conspiracy theory for
Blue Jays and the Expos.
It's the biggest conspiracy theory for baseball, not still that it's called the World Series. When there's no world competition, it's a
Well, because it's the
national
best
competition.
players in the world. Because
Yeah, I get-
there's no players from Europe and from.
I'm pretty sure a lot of Cubans are starting to play. Would you not see that? What happens if Cuba had a national team?
Well, that's almost like Cuba's like almost like
You'd be
little
right.
Florida.
You'd be right if the World Series hadn't started in 1903.
That's what I say.
Like because there's that tradition and they called it that forever. Like if they'd started in 1967 with the World Series.
And I was just playing because we actually did the research and it was because of the newspaper, right? It was called the New York World.
Sponsored.
So yeah,
Sponsored,
I just like to ruffle some feathers. I know that's why it's called. No saying that you could probably change it now and get away with it.
If this government doesn't make the mistake of deporting you by the time, I'm sorry, I misspoke. If this government doesn't make the mistake of allowing you to stay, then I think like you will have in how old are you? 19?
25.
If he's 19,
By the
then
time,
what am I?
by the time you're, I think it's your nap time. I think by the time you're 28, you will have. No. But a serious appreciation for baseball, because you are at your heart a fairly smart guy.
Yeah.
And you will like. I'm not saying there are plenty of smart people who hate baseball, but there is a athletic sophistication to it. There's literally every pitch, at least in a game that matters, and not a 12-2 Mariners-Rangers game in August. But every pitch matters. There's a decision being made on every pitch, and I always think you'd be into that if you get an understanding of it.
I think I got to take you to a game and like.
I mean, I like hot dogs.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, my conspiracy, 1996 World Series. Man, I lived in Charleston, South Carolina. People believed this. So the Braves took a 2-0 lead over the Yankees. This was the beginning of the Yankee dynasty in '96 with Torrey and Derek Jeter and Posada and all those guys and Mariano, although he wasn't even the closer. And the Braves went up 2-0 with easy wins. And then Game 3, the Braves were up, I think, and they made a significant. Their defense was atrocious. Ball went through Jeff Blauser's leg, the shortstop, and everybody who I worked with was like, oh, of course. Fox wants it to be a 6 or 7 game series, and they want the Yankees to get back in it. Well, the Braves made such a huge mistake, they let the Yankees win 4 straight games. And the Yankees won the series. And left out of all that, and our helicopter pilot believed it firmly. Oh, Ben, you just don't know. You're an idiot. You don't know how things work in the real world. Ted Turner owned the Braves. Rupert Murdoch owned Fox. So Ted Turner, who hated Rupert Murdoch, right, that he was going to make a decision then to allow Murdoch's network to get big ratings at the expense of his team? It's inconceivable. Like, what is wrong with people that you would believe this and not think sometimes the ball goes through a guy's leg, especially in a big game under the bright lights when the pressure's on. And a guy making on a $5 million a year contract that he's going to take what? $20,000 to throw a baseball game? Come on, man.
I can't even remember.
Come on, man.
Who was the closer before Mariano?
John Wetland.
John Wetland.
And Rivera. I think it was still 96. Wetland.
That was a good decision to go to Mariano.
One conspiracy theory I'm sure that will get mentioned in the comments is the puck rule.
The tuck rule is a terrible call. The tuck rule is a bad rule, and that wasn't even a tuck. So there you go.